Next, we move on to your reported speech and use of passive voice. Now, again, I am telling you, whatever I am explaining to you, all this is very elaborately explained to you in your Maxx marks, and in your Maxx marks, it is followed by a lot of practice questions. Grammar is a matter of practice. You need to practice more and more, and then you will be able to have a hold over your language. Reported speech. There are two ways of reporting a speech, whether ours or someone else's, isn't it? Direct speech. We may quote the actual words, that is, to report the speech exactly we had heard or said it without making any change, that is direct speech. Indirect is, we may report what is said without quoting the exact words or changing their meaning. Now look at the examples. He said, comma, inverted comma open, I am going tomorrow. Indirect, he said that he was, I becomes he, I becomes he, am becomes was, going the, tomorrow becomes the next day. In the first example, the first part of the sentence which is before the comma is referred to as reporting verb, and the part which is under inverted commas is called the reported speech. In changing the above direct speech into indirect, certain changes have to be made. Thus, we have removed the comma in the indirect sentence and put the conjunction that in its place. We have removed the inverted commas of the reported speech. The pronoun I of the reported speech has been changed into he. The verb am is changed into was. The adverb tomorrow has been changed to the next day. Rules for changing direct into indirect. When the reporting or principal verb is in the past tense, all present tenses of the direct are changed into the corresponding past tenses. See through the example. A simple present becomes a simple past. He said, I am quite well. He said that he was quite well. A present continuous becomes a past continuous. She said, my brother is writing a letter. Indirect, she said that her brother was writing a letter. Next, a present perfect becomes a past perfect. Amit said, I have passed the test. Indirect, Amit said that he had passed the test. The will shall of the future tense is changed into would should. She said, I will buy a computer. She said that she would buy a computer. Now look at the exceptions. If the reported speech contains some universal truth or habitual fact, the tense of the verb does not change, even if the reporting verb is in the past tense. The teacher said to the students, the earth is round. The teacher said to the student that the earth is round. When two actions occur at the same time in the past, no change in the tense of the verb in the reported speech is made. Direct. He said, I cried out when I saw the thief coming. He said that He cried out when he saw the thief coming. If the reporting verb, that is the main verb of the reporting speech, is in the present or the future tense, the tense of the verbs in the reported speech will not change. The girl says, I may not sing today. The girl says that she may not sing that day. Today becomes that day. Now, words expressing nearness in time or place are generally changed into words expressing distance. This is something you must get it very clarified, or even when you have the book, you could just use a highlighter or write it down in your copy. Something this you need to have it in your mind under all conditions. Today becomes that day, tomorrow, the next day, the day after tomorrow, the day after the next day, yesterday, the previous day, or the day before yesterday, the day before the previous day, now, then, here, there, ago, before, last night, the previous night, tonight, that night, this, that, just now, just now, then. All this needs to be memorized, should be very, very clear in your heads. Next, directs. He said, I am glad to be here this morning. He said that he was glad to be there that morning. The changes do not occur if the speech is reported during the same period or at the same place. Example, he says, I am glad to be here this evening. He says that he is glad to be here this evening. Changes do not occur if the speech is reported during the same period or at the same place. Change of person. The persons of the pronouns and the verbs in the reported speech undergo changes when converted into indirect form. S implies subject, 1 implies first person. O, object, implies first person pronoun. O, second person pronoun. N, no change, implies third person pronoun. You will get it. Change of person. The persons of the pronouns and the verbs in the reported speech undergo changes when converted into indirect form. This is okay. Now look here. Look at the examples now. First person pronouns in the direct speech change according to the subject of the reporting verb. He says, I am going to Mumbai. He says that he is going to Mumbai. Second person pronouns change according to the noun or pronoun coming after the verb. I said to Krishna, you will have to read. I said to Krishna that he would have to read. Third person pronouns of the direct speech remain unchanged when converted into indirect. Kavita said to me, she will be defeated. Kavita said to me that she would be defeated. Examples make things much more clearly. You get a much more clear Prenominal questions. These sentences begin with questions, words, when, where, what. Look at the verbal question. These sentences begin with auxiliary verbs: will, shall, can, may. While changing the direct into indirect after using asked, inquired, the question word is used. Before it, asked, inquired is used. Look here. while changing verbal questions after using asked, inquired, or whether or if is used. Look here now, example. He said to me, "What are you making?" So now he asked me what I was making. You changes into I. "Where do you live?" asked the stranger. The stranger inquired where I lived. I said to him, "Will you go there?" I asked him if he would go there. Commands and requests. If in reported commands and requests, the direct speech is introduced by some verb expressing command or request, the imperative mood is changed into infinitive. Ganguly said to Mahmood, "Go away." Ganguly ordered Mahmood to go away. We are talking about the commands and the requests. He said to the students, "Don't make a noise." He forbade the students to make a noise. The beggar said to me, "Please give me a rupee." The beggar prayed me to give him a rupee. Exclamation and wishes. In reporting explanation and wishes, the indirect speech is introduced by some verb expressing explanation, exclamation or wish. Sham said, "Alas," see the exclamatory mark, "I have been ruined." Sham exclaimed, we've removed this and we've written exclaimed, with sorrow that he had been ruined. He said, "Bravo, you have done well." He applauded them, saying that they had done well. See, here was an exclamation, even there was an explanation. In there, that exclamation was about, there was some sadness over there. So, we had written, "Alas," that was with sorrow. Here, we are talking about bravo. He's happy because he's done well. So, we've written applauded. He applauded them, saying that they had done well. Now, said to. If the reporting verb said to is followed by an object, it is changed into told while converting it into indirect speech. He said to me, "There is no more water." He told me that there was no more water. In case there is no object, said remains unchanged. He said, "None helped me." He said that none helped him. Said to is not always changed into told. It can also be changed into replied, stated, informed, remarked, depending on the situation of the sentence. Must and need not. In some cases, these two are used in place of have to. She said, "I must go now." She said that she had to go then. He said, "I need not go." He said that he would not have to go. Next, must is used in place of shall have to when it expresses necessity or compulsion. He said, I must finish this book on Tuesday. He said that he would have to finish that book on Tuesday. But in some sentences, when must indicates some kind of advice or suggestion in those sentences, must remains must. Next, we move on to is your use of passive voice. Voice is that branch of grammar which studies the form that the verb takes in a sentence to determine the status of the subject and the object. Raj helps Kamal. Kamal is helped by Raj. These sentences express the same meaning. The form of the verb in sentence 1 shows the person denoted by the subject does something. The verb helps is said to be in the active voice. Raj helps. It's in the active voice. The form of the verb in sentence 2 shows that something is done to the person denoted. The verb helped is said to be in the passive voice. See, active. Kamal is helped by Raj. The meanings remain the same. The voice changes. Just for your reference, nothing to note down, nothing to memorize, nothing at all. It's the application that is to be there. The grammar needs to, you need to be acquainted with the rules. A verb is said to be in the active voice when its subject does acts or when the emphasis on the doer of the subject. The active voice is called so because the person denoted by the subject acts. Example, Mohan sang a song. Here the subject Mohan acted. No? Look at the next one. A verb is in the passive voice when the subject is being acted upon, when the emphasis on the object or the work done. Example, a song was sung by Mohan. Here the subject Mohan was acted upon. Note, voice changes occur only in transitive verbs. The perfect continuous form of all the three tenses and future continuous cannot be changed into passive voice. Now, rules for changing the voice. In order to change active voice into passive voice, certain rules as stated below need to be observed. Change in arrangement of words. First of all, the arrangement of the words of the active voice sentence is changed. Active voice. Subject plus verb plus object. Rajan sings a song. Passive. Object shifts here. A song, helping verb, is main verb, sung by Rajan. Thus, the subject of the active voice becomes the object of the passive voice. Now, the change of pronoun. When he as a subject of active voice becomes object of the passive voice, it changes into him. Similarly, she becomes her, we becomes us, they becomes them, and I becomes me. Change in tenses. Present tense, present indefinite, assertive. Here we need to change the first form of the verb into the third form and add is, am, are before it, depending on the number and person of the subject in the active voice. See the example. The boy plays a game is active. Game is played by the boy, passive. Interrogative. For transforming interrogative sentences under this tense, all of you need to do is to put is, am, are before the subject, which was object in active in the passive voice. Does he want a pen is active. Is a pen wanted by him passive. What are we talking about? Interrogative sentences. Look at the present continuous now. To get the passive voice, the verb is used in its third form and being is inserted between is, am, are and the main verb. Example, I am making a design. A design is being made by me. Interrogative. In case of an interrogative sentence, is, am, are will be placed before the subject. Am I singing a song? Is a song being sung by me? Present perfect here, been is put between has, have and verb in a passive voice sentence. Example, Raju has eaten his lunch. His lunch has been eaten by Raju. Examples of present perfect interrogative. Who has written this book? By whom has this book been written? Have you seen the play? Has the play been seen by you? Here, been is put between has, have and verb in a passive voice. Raju has eaten his lunch. His lunch has been eaten by Raju. Example of present perfect interrogative. Who has written this book? By whom this book has been written? Have you seen the play? Has the play been seen by you? Past tense. The rules for transforming an active voice sentence under the past tense into passive voice sentences are the same for the present tense with necessary modifications. Example, I read the newspaper in the morning. I read. The newspaper was read by me in morning. Past continuous. I was writing a letter to him. A letter was being written to him by me. I had read the book thoroughly. The book had been read by me thoroughly. For transforming an active voice sentence under this tense into passive voice, the verb is used in its third form and is inserted between will and the verb. He will revise the book. The book will be revised by him. In the case of an interrogative sentence, the change is the same for the active as for the passive. Will is placed before the subject. Will he revise the book? Will the book be revised by him? In the passive voice under future perfect, been is inserted between have and the verb. Example, he will have revised the book. Will have revised the book. The book will have been revised by him. Interrogatives are obtained only by putting will, shall before the verb. Now, the other conditions for transforming active into passive. Now, the place of preposition. The preposition after a verb in the active voice does not change its place in the passive voice. Example, students are looking at the blackboard is active. The blackboard is being looked at by the students. They do not approve of this plan. This plan is not approved by them. Modal auxiliaries and modal auxiliaries like may, might, ought to do not change when transformed from active to passive. He may climb up the tree. The tree may be climbed up by him. You might help him. He might be helped by you. Now, the infinitive in passive construction. I want someone to inform the police. I want the police to be informed. Participles in passive construction. I saw him turning the key in the lock. I saw the key being turned in the lock by him. Imperatives in passive construction. Bring the lunch. Let the lunch be brought. Please help him. You are requested to help him. Verbs denoting a state in passive form. Wordsworth's poems interest me. I am interested in Wordsworth's poems. This bottle contains milk. Milk is contained in this bottle. People said that she was a liar. It was said that she was a liar. She was said to be a liar could be another correct option of making it into passive. Sometimes we get active sentences starting with it is time or it was time. We should use the following formula for changing such sentences into passive voice. It is or it was time plus infinitive plus the object noun. Passive it is, was, time, for plus object, noun, to, be and third form of the verb. It is time to close the shops, active. It is time for the shops to be closed. So, with this we come to the end of our grammar section, and now we have these practice questions. Thank you.